Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're going to learn how to combine information found in two data files in Pandas. We'll then introduce another tool in our data analysis toolbox, Matplotlib. So far, we have seen how to load a data file into a Pandas data frame and answer all kinds of questions based on a single data frame. Sometimes the information we're after is contained in the data, but it's spread across multiple files. For example, the parks CSV file tells us which parks are in which state. The species dataset tells us which species are in which parks. However, the species dataset does not contain any state information. So, how do we answer the following questions? What state is home to the most species? What state is home to the most species that are endangered or proposed endangered? Let's go to PyCharm to see how to answer these questions. I have created a separate module for these two questions. We'll first go to our main function and open the two CSV files and load them into Pandas DataFrames. We used the park name as our index last time, so let me go to the CSV file. And this is the second column, so I could either write index col equals 1, or I can actually specify the column's header. That will also work. We open the species data file and load it into its own data frame. We need the index column. Let's grab it from the header. Our index column here was species ID. We copy it and paste it here. And for this file, we wanted to limit the columns, so we use cols equals range of 13. Now we need to combine these two data frames. We use the merge function to do that. We specify the two data frames we are merging, and we specify the column that we're merging on. So that column must exist in both data frames. And here we can see that the park name is a column in parks, and it's also a column in species. Merge implements a database-style join. Let's add a print statement to see our result. I'll add a comment to these function definitions to avoid a syntax error. And let's run our program. Here are the first 5 rows from our merged data frame. It contains 17 columns, so we can see the park code from the parks data frame. We can see the conservation status from the species data frame. Note that the species ID was discarded. That was the index in the species data frame. It was not preserved in this merge. When we merge on columns, the data frame indexes are ignored. We did not specify an index for our merged data frame, so Pandas automatically assigned an integer index to the data frame. So the first question we need to answer here is what state is home to the most species? We're going to ignore species that are found in parks that are in multiple states. We have seen that Death Valley is in Nevada and California. We're going to ignore species in Death Valley because we don't know how to divide these species between California and Nevada. So before we answer this question, let me introduce the mode. In statistics, the mode of a set of values is the value that appears most often. Sometimes we have ties and we can have multiple values for the mode. Now in Pandas, we have the mode method. We can use it to get the mode of a column or of a row. Let's go back to PyCharm and implement our Q1 function using mode. We're going to invoke the mode method on the state column. Now let's add a call to Q1 from our main function. We don't need the header anymore, so let's comment it out. And we'll print the return value from Q1 to see what we're going to get here. Let's run our program. And here's what we get. California is the state that's home to the most species, but our answer here is in the form of a data series. We really wanted to return a string. So let's grab our state name from the data series. iLock of 0 or lock of 0 will both work here. And now our return value is a string. For our next function, we need to answer the question, what state is home to the most species that are endangered or proposed endangered? So it looks like mode would still be useful here, but we need to select the rows corresponding to endangered and proposed endangered species first, before invoking the mode method. We know how to use a Boolean mask to select rows from a data frame. We've also seen how to use the string contains method in our Boolean mask. So here, because we don't have a specific value, we have to account for endangered or proposed endangered. String contains endangered sounds like a good choice. So let's try this in PyCharm. So let's use the conservation status string contains as our Boolean mask. We also index by column state. Then we invoke the mode and grab the state name, the string. We use lock of 0 this time. Let's print the return value from Q2. And let's run our program. We get a trace back. We get an exception. Q1 was fine. With Q2, we have an issue with non-Boolean array containing NA and AN values. To figure out what's going on here, let's go back to our merge data frame. This is the header we had printed, the first 5 rows in the data frame, and you can see here that we have NaN values under conservation status. Not all the species have the conservation status set to something. Some species did not have a conservation status specified in the CSV file, so when that file was loaded into a data frame, NaN values were used for missing values in the data file. So when we invoke the string contains method on the conservation status column, string contains does not know what to do with these NaN values. The string contains method has an argument called NA that allows us to specify a fill value for missing values. For readability, let's first break our return statement into 2 steps. We'll create an endangered pandas data frame first, and then we'll use the mode method on that endangered data frame to return the state. Now let's add the NA argument to the string contains method code. We'll set NA to false because missing values do not correspond to endangered or proposed endangered species. We run our program, and this time we don't have any traceback. Hawaii is the state that's home to the most species that are endangered or proposed endangered.